Confidence high, probability questionable. Where do I sit? All right.
DeAne, interview take one, Mark.
My mom told me something when I was growing up. And when I say told me, I mean she told me a lot. She said, class is the ability to relate to anyone, anywhere, anytime on their terms. My dad skipped the poetry. He'd say, hey, just because you walked into the room doesn't make it your room. It was the same message, just a very different delivery. And what they were both saying was, you adjust. Don't expect the room to adjust to you. It's about reading the room and adapting, asking yourself, how do I make it easier, not harder, to be in the room? So I grew up trying to do that, mostly without even realizing it. And I didn't understand how powerful or how transferable that skill was until much later. Honestly, I didn't even recognize it was a skill until other people started pointing it out. What I later learned is that this skill only works when it's grounded in competence. So adaptability is key, but first, you have to earn the right to be in the room. And to do that, there's one non-negotiable. You have to know your stuff. Adaptability doesn't replace competence. It helps competence land. Craft is the price of entry. If the work isn't solid, you never really get into the room, no matter how well you read it. So once you're in the room, this is where adaptability really matters. This is where you adapt your craft for the room, and where you can have a little fun with being a chameleon. Because every room shows up with its own personality, its own skill set, its own mood. Sometimes there's real interest and eagerness to hear the message, and other times there's skepticism and a strong desire to end the meeting. Sometimes the room is full of decision makers who want options and recommendations, and other times it's full of people who just want an update and a reason to relax. And then there are times when the read is as simple as this. Am I meeting with creatives or engineers? If I'm talking to creatives, I need to bring the message to life with context and stories. If I'm talking to engineers, I'm framing the same message through a lens of risks and controls. Because if I lead creatives with controls and engineers with gut feel, I'll lose the room. And that's when you'll notice people start making their grocery list. Same truth, very different translation. The truth doesn't move, but the delivery and even the visuals do. That's not being inauthentic, it's meeting people where they are. So now I want to talk for a minute about bringing humor into your world at work, especially into meetings. For me, it's simple. I just like it. And if I'm being honest, it gives me energy. We spend a lot of time at work, and laughter takes the edge off. But over time, I've learned it's not just personal, it's practical. Used with intention, humor is a powerful tool for connection and building trust. One thing I want to be clear about, humor is my connection point. It may not be yours, and that's okay. This isn't about being someone you're not. It's about noticing moments where you can get the room to relax, even for a few seconds. Defenses drop, people breathe, they listen differently, and suddenly you can say something hard. This isn't working. There's risk here. We need to change, without everyone bracing for impact. It also changes how leadership shows up, especially in roles that can feel intimidating. Humor makes you more approachable, not to win approval, but because it fits the moment. It also signals confidence and builds credibility. When you can bring lightness to complexity, you're telling the room, this is manageable. Humor can be calming, it can steady a room, and it gives people permission to exhale. And yes, it's fun, but there's a limit. Too much or the wrong moment, and it misses. So keep it simple. I like to aim it at myself or the situation. Use it to create access, reduce friction, and anchor the message. The goal isn't constant humor, it's intentional humor, used to get the job done. Lightness can help people breathe and create connection, but what you do next is where you build trust. You stay. And sometimes staying requires grit. You stay engaged during the difficult meeting. You stay after the week that took the wind out of your sails, and you show up with the same energy and optimism. You stay and have that uncomfortable follow-up conversation to clear the air and reset the relationship. That's grit. Not pushing harder, but staying when it gets tough and you've had enough. Grit is continuing to show up, even when the return isn't immediate, because trust builds over time, and people always notice who stays in it. When you strip it down, it's a simple recipe. You start with your base, accepting that it's on you to adjust. You add real competence, because that creates substance. You translate the same truth so people can actually digest it, You add a dash of lightness to create connection. And when the heat turns up, you don't walk away, you stay. Because trust compounds over time. That's how you make it land. My name is DeAne Blakely, Chief Financial Officer at Anchor Moisen, and this is AM Masterclass.